Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Abraham Lincoln Museum of Art. Today, we will be taking a tour of the gallery, visiting some of the most famous pieces, like beautiful Impressionist paintings by French artist Monet and abstracts by Jackson Pollock. The most eye-catching pieces we will be seeing today, however, are by none other than American artist Keith Haring. Haring is famous for making his inspiring and social activist doodles and drawings that depict animated figures using a limited color palette. During our tour today, we'll first be sketching out the life and early art beginnings of Keith Haring, and then moving on to adding color with his career and art activism. Finally, we will finish with the modern legacy that Keith Haring has left behind and the masterpiece that he has created in the world. Keith Haring was born in 1958 in Reading, Pennsylvania, to his parents Joan and Alan Haring, as the youngest of 4 children. He loved art from a very young age, and his drawing was his favorite as early as he could hold a pencil. Some people that inspired him with his art were Dr. Seuss and Walt Disney, and they first introduced him to the world of popular art. After he grew up here, he moved on to attend the Ivy School of Professional Art in Pennsylvania, but however, after 2 semesters, decided that was not the route for him. His imagination was too big for such a limiting and professional school, so he moved to New York City, where he attended the School of Modern Art, and he could focus more on being creative. He flourished there and began his early career by creating art in unconventional places like subway walls and dance clubs. One of the most important things that gave his rise to fame were the drawings that he created on subway walls. He would use the black side of the back of an advertising panel and chalk to make these animated drawings using themes like time, love, greed, and other things like that. As you can see, the movement is very accentuated with the lines around the figures. Haring would create up to 40 of these in a single day, and they were seen by everyone as they walked through the subway walls. These subway drawings gave him his rise to fame, where he then entered the more professional art world. He began to do a lot of commissions, especially for companies like the Swatch Watch Company and Absolute Vodka. He would also create countless murals for different buildings, especially creating sets for theaters and dance clubs as well. He then went on to create his own shop called a pop shop, where he would sell things like toys, t-shirts, buttons, and blankets with his designs on them. Although a lot of critics criticized Haring for selling these items at such a low cost to the public, Haring believed that art was for everyone. He believed that no matter what your class or status was, even if you couldn't enter a museum, you should be able to have access to the art that he created. Now moving on to Keith Haring's activism. One of Haring's most passionate subjects that he created his art about was the AIDS and HIV crisis in the 80s. During the 80s, when this crisis was first starting, it was not very well known, and people were very afraid of those who had the disease, especially targeting those of the LGBTQ community. He wanted, as someone who had AIDS himself, he wanted to make sure that the public was educated and that they were unafraid about the disease, as noted in Art History to Kids. He created art like this so that people were aware of what was happening and they would not avoid those with the disease. Now, finishing with the masterpiece that Keith Haring has left on the world, we have his death, which occurred February 16th, 1990, due to AIDS-related complications. He was only 31 years old, but still left a lasting mark on the world. A year before his passing, in 1989, he created the Keith Haring Foundation, who, according to his official website of haring.com, had a mission to keep the legacy of his art and the ideals that he set in place, which were educating the public on AIDS and also bridging the gap between economic disparities and creating opportunities for those who did not have them. He focused on child welfare and more AIDS education. Overall, Keith Haring was inspirational to the art world because he showed that coming from humble beginnings, you can still make a difference using the thing that you are the most passionate about, which for him was art. Now you can see Keith Haring in a variety of places, including clothing stores where you can find him on a t-shirt. I know I have a few. His collaboration with Doc Martens and other popular brands, and even in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is listed on the Met website. Through our gallery tour today, we were able to see Keith Haring's early life and the beginnings of his art career, and then move on to draw out his activist movements with his art. And then finally, we were able to finish our bigger picture today with the modern impact that he has left on society and the art world. Thank you all so much for attending today's tour of the Abraham Lincoln Museum of Art, and enjoy the rest of your time here.